Hey there everybody, hope your day is going well, Jacardo with Old Soul Gaming, and welcome back to another Wild Wednesday. At least this time, now that I'm not recovering from a massive dehydration spell, I should have a little more energy than the last time. You know, when the temperature outside is in the triple digits, perhaps you should drink a little more. You know, you've got a good point with that. Now, this month, the video is actually coming from the channel Pokestuff, which is one of Proto Mario's alternate channels. I mean, hell, I understand, needing alternate channels sometimes, because if you anger the YouTube gods, then you're pretty much screwed. Yeah, but first, before I get into it, I just need to make sure to cover my own ass. So, any thoughts and opinions that I say in my video are mine and mine alone. Do not harass the people that I feature in Wild Wednesdays with what I say. If you want to let them know that I've done a commentary on them, by all means, go right ahead. But otherwise, just let me be the only one who takes the heat for what I say. Now, let's get into this. This is, the Pokestuff. Apparently, Nintendo exists in the Pokemon world, which is interesting. I mean, I've really only played first gen. I've played a couple spin-off games, but for the core games, I've really only played first gen, and I don't remember Nintendo being in the game. I remember Game Freak and Celadon City, the little fourth wall breaking, but I don't remember Nintendo. So, let's see what Pokestuff or Proto Mario has to say about that.
Pokemon is a magical world filled with unique creatures capable of great destruction in the hands of children. Case in point, Gyarados has been known to destroy cities for just having a bad day.
Damn, I've had some bad days before, but I've never, run around trying to destroy an entire city. That's definitely some anger issue that needs to be taken care of there, Gyarados.
Now that's one crazy world. The creators of Pokemon and their partners, Nintendo, have often put Easter eggs in their games, like Game Freak being in the Pokemon game world itself.
Yeah, just as I mentioned earlier. I mean, I don't know if Game Freak is still there in the second gen game once you eventually return to the Kanto region, but I mean, yeah, they're there, but I don't really think that signifies that Nintendo exists in the world, just, it's a little fourth wall breaking in the same building where you get a free Eevee.
But what if I could prove that Nintendo actually exists within the game world of Pokemon?
Well, that's what I'm here to find out. Hopefully you don't spend 6 minutes rambling about something that's not even a part of the title again.
And what if I show you that it is 100% canon for the series?
So long as you're willing to hear a counter-argument, then, hell, let's get into it.
Sign in and grab your Game Boys and fire up some Pokemon Yellow and watch as I prove how Nintendo exists in the Pokemon world. Yes, Nintendo exists in the Pokemon world, specifically the game world. In almost every game, I can show how Nintendo exists with evidence.
Well, for anything beyond Generation 1, I'm probably just gonna have to take your word for it. Because, like I said, I haven't really played any of the core games beyond first gen.
But before we get into this theory, you need to understand that this is exclusive to the in-game world only. And not only that, but this is canon to the idea that the in-game world is a separate world and not really connected to anything else.
I could have sworn at one point that Nintendo came out and said, specifically, that the anime and the games take place in separate universes. Although I just tried looking that up, and I couldn't find it. I actually spent a couple minutes searching. I could spend more time, but I don't really have that time right now. But I'm pretty sure that they did say that, oh hey, the games and anime take place in separate universes, so yeah, you're saying that the, and of course that would just, more confirm that, that apparently Nintendo only exists in the games, but not in the anime.
Each game is its own little universe, making this theory canon to the in-game world of Pokemon. It's kinda like a fourth wall break. How can Nintendo exist in a world that is likely being played on a Nintendo console itself? Well, if you recall, I said fire up some Pokemon Yellow, and if you start up a new game, you will see exactly what I mean. You might have never noticed it. You might never have given it any other thought than, that's cool, or interesting. Almost every single protagonist's room in the Pokemon games feature a Nintendo game console.
Well, yes, I definitely did notice that when I started recording first gen. It's not just in yellow, but also in red and blue. There's, the Super Nintendo, which I actually have one right there. And, yeah, I don't really think that's really indicating that Nintendo exists, although, what would the N stand for if Nintendo doesn't exist in the Pokemon world? Maybe just super new entertainment system? That is an interesting point you have, but still, you got a little ways to go, so please continue.
From Pokemon Red and Blue to Ultra Sun and Moon, each generation of Pokemon features a Nintendo console for that age. From the NES to the Nintendo Switch, there are even Super Nintendos in Celadon City's department store. It's a pretty cool Easter egg, and in that same city as those Super Nintendos were, there are also the developers, Game Freak, which they explain how they had a hand in programming you. As I said before, fourth wall breaking all the time.
Yeah, this came out mid-90s. I didn't watch too many live-action stuff back in the mid-90s. The first one I actually got into was Stargate SG-1, but, that's a topic for another day. Anyway, with all the cartoons I watched back in the day, sometimes there was fourth wall breaking, but it wasn't over the top. Just like it's not over the top here, it's just, one instance of a fourth wall break. I think that might have been maybe a trend of the 90s, just like, have different shows, different games, just temporarily break the fourth wall for a minute.
Those trainers always playing Nintendo consoles like the ones whom will trade you Pokemon in the game. When you trade those Pokemon, it is with a Game Boy and a link cable, or various other means, like a DS, which shows the trade occurring between the two trainers and the respective game consoles that they're using. Game Boys, Nintendos, the DS, even the Nintendo Switch is shown. If that doesn't prove that Nintendo, as a company, somehow exists in the Pokemon world, I really don't know what will. Because if the Nintendo consoles exist in the game world, then the company that makes those consoles must also exist. Proving that, yes, Nintendo does, somewhere in the Pokemon game world, exist.
Okay, I see what you're getting at, and, now that your video's over, allow me to make a counter-argument. So, your strongest point is the trading. Like, people are holding Game Boys. But are they? As I myself said earlier, I do believe that the anime and the games take place in separate universes. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo said it at one point, but I cannot find the original article for that conversation point. Anyway, what if... hold on, let me see if I can't find a decent picture. Right, so that took actually quite a bit longer than I really wanted it to, but hell, I got this picture, the one that I wanted. Okay, so as I was saying, your strongest argument is this, that, people in-game are trading through Game Boys. But what if they're not? So here's my counter-argument. Which, hear me out. It's going to take a while to make my point. So, with Pokemon First Gen, we are talking about first generation. Even first generation of Pokedex. What if what we're looking at there is not a Game Boy, but a Pokedex? Very, very first Pokedex, what would you need? A directional pad so you can go up, down, left, right. A select button, a back button, maybe power on, power off. Even if the anime takes place in a, separate universe, they are obviously parallel because Pokemon exist in both the worlds. And Ash's Pokedex is obviously much, much more advanced than just a first-gen Pokedex. And like hell, when Togepi eventually hatches out of the egg that he finds, all he does is point his Pokedex at Togepi, and bada bing, bada boom, you can tell what it is. Ash doesn't even need to get any kind of upgrade or update to the Pokedex until the end of Johto, when he runs into whatever the hell Torchic's final evolution is, and he points the Pokedex can't say anything about it, it's an unknown one. Hey guys, me from the future here. I need to correct myself, because, yeah, I just barely saw episode 50 of the Indigo journeys. And Ash actually did get an update in the same episode that Togepi hatches. So, yes, technically Ash does need an update in order to figure out like how second gen Pokemon are. But after that update, he doesn't need an update until the end of the Johto journeys. Like, how many ever seasons Johto took to get around to. And anyway, I just wanted to update that, yes, I made a mistake and I'm fully willing to admit it now. Back to past me. So maybe, still thinking, separate universes between the games and the anime, but parallel, maybe the first generation trainers that Oak sends out, like, hey, there are a bunch of Pokemon around, but we don't know enough about them, so I want you Red and Blue, to head out and start logging information. I mean, hell, in Red and Blue, you don't even run into someone who wants to trade until Cerulean City, and who knows how much time would have passed by the time you actually get to Cerulean City. But we're talking about a world where you can store physical items in digital form on a computer. So maybe once Red and Blue go out there and start registering Pokemon, and, maybe linking back with Professor Oak's PC, or maybe more likely there's some kind of wireless connection that Professor Oak just goes, wow, these Pokedexes are working great, and then mass produce them and send them out into the world. And by the time you reach Cerulean City, oh hey, someone else also has a Pokedex. I don't really think it would be that far-fetched to say that, once Ash actually begins his journey in that parallel universe, that, maybe not all, but most Pokemon in the Kanto region would be registered, not just from one trainer, though, but from multiple trainers, catching, all the different, a bunch of different Rattatas and Pidgeys and so on and so forth. I think, from the start, all the way up into the Pokemon movie, Ash actually did run into all 151. I mean, well, Dratini and Dragonair were technically encountered in the Safari Zone, but that episode was taken out of rotation. And then there's the Porygon episode, and yeah, that episode was also taken out of rotation. But when you take those into account, Ash did run into all 151 by the time the movie came out. Or, well, the movie story came around. You know what I mean. And throughout all that, I mean, well, Ash technically didn't point his Pokedex at the Dratini or Dragonair. Or did he? I don't remember. I did see the episode, but it's been so long I forget if he actually pointed his Pokedex at them. I know he pointed his Pokedex at everything in the Safari Zone, and then every single time he threw a Safari Ball, a horde of Tauros ran through, and that's how he ends up with 30 Tauros. But yeah, that is my counter argument. What if what we're looking at when trading is not a Game Boy, but a Pokedex? And additionally to my point, what if throughout the different generations of Pokemon, instead of seeing whatever the latest Nintendo handheld console is, what if what we're actually seeing is an upgraded Pokedex? Something to think about there too. I don't know. Maybe not. Alright, well, that's gonna be the end. And as I said at the beginning of this, my thoughts and my opinions are mine and mine alone. If you want to let Proto Mario or Pokestuff, whatever name you want to use for him, if you want to let him know that I've done a commentary on him, by all means, go ahead. But do not use what I said to harass him in any way. You can talk about whatever you want down in the comment section, and yeah, but just let me be the only one who takes the heat for what I say. And before I forget, if you have any suggestions for a Wild Wednesday, so long as it falls within the stipulations that I've put forth in the first Wild Wednesday, then by all means put it in the comment section down below. I'll check it out and maybe I'll do a commentary on it. And hopefully my house search will end within the next week, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really holding my breath. If things don't work out, they don't work out, but hopefully they will. Alright, well, that's gonna be it for this one. At least I don't have less than a week to get this together before it needs to go out. So, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't hit that bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video. And don't forget to have fun.